Hey Celeste, what's up? So as we talked about, I'm going to be scrying today for you. I've noticed that these messages are a lot more detailed and accurate. I did a scrying session the other day with somebody, and this particular person was very freaked out about like their career, and they wanted to move, but they weren't really sure where, and like they just had a lot of major life changes happening. And in the reading, there were two big things that came through. One, I felt like she really needed to move to like Seattle or that area for some reason. The second thing that came through in that reading was that she should be doing something artistic, something like with photography or something like that. And I got an email back from her saying that one, before the reading had even happened, she and her coworker had discussed moving to Seattle. And she also said that her major passion is photography, and she didn't tell me any of those things, obviously. And so I kind of freaked out because I'm really noticing, like, holy shit, this is actually a gift that I need to start practicing more. So I'm going to go into yours today. These are kind of like portals. They're like, it's the idea that you're kind of going into another realm when you do this. And so sometimes I see different things, or they show me different sceneries, or sometimes it even feels like my hand is like dipping into another realm or another portal. So I'm just going to quickly cleanse this portal, and I would like to open it for Celeste, and I would like to call in Celeste's guides and anybody else who wants to join us. They are sassy. I refilmed the intro to this because I just didn't like it. I was like kind of rambly because I had just smoked, and your guides are like, she wasn't prepared. Like, I don't know. They're kind of mad at me for having them, because I called them in. I called your guides in the last clip, and they feel like I wasted their time. So it's gonna be down here, by the way. It's just easier. I don't really have anywhere to put it or hoist it. Well, my cat just meowed at the door, which triggered a cat in my mind. It wasn't my cat, though. And, you know, cats talk about independence. You talk about freedom and needing the freedom, and that's something that was really big for you, was needing freedom. Cats are very Saturnian. They are ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is in Aquarius right now. So this is literally, let's see, you're a Cancer rising. I'm like trying to do astrology in my head real quick. That means the 7th house is in Capricorn, 8th house is in Aquarius. So, okay, yeah, then you are having Saturn transiting through your 8th house right now. And the 8th house is about shared resources. It's about other people's money, other people's time. I'm getting the phrase borrowed time in my mind. That's very much an 8th house thing. And having Saturn there, the Lord of Time, in the 8th house definitely makes me think of borrowed time. So what does that mean? Seeing a bunny. Bunnies represent fertility. Borrowed time. So I'm going to keep talking about the 8th house then until they give me some more messages. But borrowed time. This is about, the 8th house is about the shared resources. It is about the occult. It is about the spiritual. And so over the next 2 years, you're experiencing a lot of change and growth and like maturing. You're maturing in this area of your life. And so that includes, especially because you just got married and had a baby, this does talk about learning how to basically gaining a new level of responsibility within your shared resources. So that could mean, like, I know that you just bought a house, I want to say. Yeah, very eighth house, sharing resources legally with another person, sharing parental rights with another person, sharing all of these very intimate parts of your life with another person, and learning how to do that. And it does seem like there is some frustration around that. Seeing the owl. The owl has a lot to do with wisdom. And I got this phrase, it's not a what, but a who. It's not a what, but a who. What does that mean? I'm seeing like somebody slicing a cake. The meat cake. I'm like getting a very, like, I know you're unhappy in your job. I am getting, and I know why you're unhappy in your job. If it's the same boss that my mom was working under, I know why you're so over this. And that's the vibe I'm getting. I'm getting like a Marie Antoinette, let the meat cake vibe from this boss of yours. Very privileged, feminine. What is the message? What is the message about all of this? I'm seeing you sitting in the middle of a forest. There's a lot of emphasis, like they're showing me the view from it is like I'm sitting and watching the trees kind of cover the sky, and you can only see like little bits of the sky peeking through. Yeah, there's this feeling of a spotlight, gentle spotlight. This is weird because your messages are coming out very jumbled, and this is not how they usually come out with scrying. For me, it is very like continuous. And so something is not continuous. Something is, I'm seeing the Venom card. The Venom card. Okay, well, this is in this guidebook that you are sitting on. I lifted it up and there's an owl on the back of another book that you're sitting on, or that my tripod is. So the owl is, we need to look into the owl more. But let me see what the Venom card is all about. The poison, the curse, the toxin, self-realization through suffering. Okay, well, that's very 8th house. I was like, why is the 8th house coming up? It says, much to our dismay, the venom is always lurking in the shadows in one form or another. Its toxic presence may be found in our relationships, thoughts, speech, or environment. Thankfully, the cycle of purification and detoxification comes so naturally that it is built into our every exhale. We breathe out carbon dioxide and the plants return it to us as oxygen. I'm already getting so many messages with this, so this makes a lot of things make sense. You are going to be with Saturn in your 8th house in these next 2 years. You are going to be placed in some very toxic situations. And, you know, a lot of these are things that you've already kind of been in, especially for the first year. I feel like this is clearing out things that are toxic. The reason, I believe every transit serves a purpose, it serves a reason. And Saturn is a planet, someone we should make friends with. We need to make friends with Saturn. That's who. It's not a what, but a who. So I'm getting so many messages now all of a sudden. Saturn. We need to make friends with Saturn. That is the phrase that keeps coming through, and there's so many honking. There's so much honking happening right now. You need to make friends with Saturn. Saturn transiting through the 8th house is going to kind of, I mean, people have a lot of misconceptions about Saturn. Let's talk about that first. Saturn is the planet of hard knocks, you know, it really is. It's the planet of, you do have to kind of suffer within the restraints. You know, the deck that's sitting up right now, we've got the box on the back of the deck. It's about restriction. Saturn is about restriction. And so having Saturn there is showing you where you are bound, where you are bound to toxic situations. I'm seeing the Devil card. Who has you chained up? And I really feel like one of the big delays for you, Saturn is the Lord of Time. Remember how that was coming up? One of the big delays for you, Saturn, on this, on wealth, on spiritual peace, the delay on this is because you are staying somewhere where you know you are not welcome, is the word coming to mind. It doesn't really feel quite like that, but it's almost like you're not welcome in that space because you have surpassed it. Energetically, you are not welcome in that job. And I am really feeling like one of your big lessons is transformation through suffering, and realizing that you can transform a situation by your actions. And that comes from facing the fear of leaving the job without having a safety net. I almost feel I am getting this scenario where, like, as soon as you leave the job, I feel like you're going to get news about another job. And I feel like you're going to get a lot more clarity. The other day, I paid rent on September 1st, and it wiped my bank account. It totally fucking took me out. I had $150 to my name, and then I spent $50 on my cat because she needed litter and food. So I had $100 to my name. And I got on a babysitting app. You know, I was trying to stay calm because freaking out about it isn't going to help anything. And right now I'm fine. Now all of my bills are paid, at least for the next month. And I just got on a babysitting app because I didn't really know what else to do. I'm not really somebody who's cut out for a normal job. That's not how my energy works. I've recently found out a lot. I really think you should look into your human design stuff. If you've ever heard of that before. I recently looked into mine, and I found out I'm a projector, which talks about like needing to wait for invitations to do things, like for major life changes. It may be different for you, but I've been trying to learn to work with this energy, basically. Instead of trying to force myself to do things that drain me and that hurt my energy, I've been trying to work with my energy instead. So my whole strategy is wait for an invitation. So I got on this babysitting app, and I just applied to a couple places. You know, I lied about my experience because I do have experience. It's just that people don't really find watching your siblings as valid experience. And like the first person that I reached out to, she immediately was like, yeah, that sounds great. Can you Zoom call me in like 20 minutes? And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. So we Zoomed, and literally within 5 minutes, she invited me to her house. And I now have a job watching this kid every single day, for $16 an hour. And it's like an hour and a half a day. So I make like $100 a week. That's $400. It's like half of the money that I need to make for rent. So it's almost like, you know, when one door closes, another opens. Like that's the energy. It's very cliche, but they're saying like when you're at your lowest, the 8th house. Let's talk about the 8th house. I just exited an 8th house perfection year. I don't know if you know what that is, but basically every year of our lives is ruled by a different planet, a different house in our chart. And so for me, I was in my 8th house perfection year. Everybody is at age 19. I'm now in my 9th house perfection year because I turned 20, but during my 8th house perfection year, it literally talks about 8th house perfection years are all about basically destroying everything in my life so that I could rebuild again, so that I could have something new. And that took form in, I had a breakup. I had a gigantic breakup. I had my mom, and I kind of fell out and stuff like that. Everything was kind of wiped from my life. And then I was able to regenerate. It was really fucking dark there for a second. I had no money. I had no love in my life, it seemed. And just as things were their darkest, that's when things started to change. And just as I was able to kind of let go of everybody and everybody was just kind of ripped from my life, that is when things started to change for the better. That is when I came into more abundance. Like, it always regenerates. There's always a balance. It's about to be Libra season. We have several planets in Libra right now. I'm filming this on a moon in Libra, Mercury's in Libra, and Venus is in Libra. And this is all about balancing. This is all about, when you decide to change things for yourself, the universe is going to match it. And the 8th house is a really difficult house to work with. It is, but it makes us so much better. And the same thing with Saturn. It's such a difficult planet to work with, but he makes us better. He forces growth and maturity, and it's so that we can teach these things. And so, just like the 8th house, just like, this is very much 8th house energy. The Tower card is coming to mind. Tower card talks about, there's usually on the card, there's someone jumping from the tower and there's someone falling, falling back from the tower. They're falling out of the tower. There's someone jumping, there's someone falling. And this is the choice that we have. This is the choice of the 8th house. You can either choose to let go of things, or they will be ripped away from you. It's basically, do you want to do the painful growth the easy way or the hard way? Do you want to quit your job and then immediately get offered a new opportunity? Or do you want to sit there and suffer and suffer and suffer, and eventually, the universe has to intervene? It kind of feels like the suffering is for a reason. And if you're suffering, you're not in the right place. And that's how you know. That's how you know, so that you can move on, so that you can change, so that you can grow. And you have been in this borrowed time. You are on borrowed time right now. You are not meant to continue to do this. And it may, here's the thing about the astrology this fall, especially this September, it's going to feel like it's not logical. It's going to feel illogical for you to do that, for you to quit your job. It doesn't make any fucking sense for you to do that. But they're saying trust. I'm seeing a giant safety net. I think they even are saying you do have a safety net. It doesn't feel that way, but you actually do have a lot of support around you, and you deserve to not be so fucking miserable. I brought this book over here. I've been reading this Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it's basically an indigenous author. I'm Native and I'm indigenous Mexican, so I've been really interested in learning about my culture and stuff. My Saturn is transiting through the 4th house of home and family, so this is a big thing for me, but I felt called to bring this over here. For some reason, I just felt like maybe we could flip to a random page and read something. I've been getting a lot of information out of this book. It talks a lot about unity and joining the spiritual with scientific, and things of that nature. So I just want to open up to maybe a page that I've already read and see if there are any messages for Celeste. Okay. So I opened up to the chapter Learning the Grammar of Animacy. So I will read a little bit of this to you. It says, science can be a language of distance which reduces a being to its working parts. It is a language of objects. The language scientists speak, however precise, is based on a profound error in grammar and omission, a grave loss in translation from the native languages of these shores. My first taste of the missing language was Papawi on my tongue. I stumbled upon it in a book. Okay, I'm going to skip this. Basically, what she's talking about is she started learning a new language. She started learning her native language, and it was very fucking difficult for her. And I'll read a little bit more about why. But it's talking about what is animate and what is inanimate. And on this page, I wrote, perhaps this is why poets fall in love with practical people, communication failing at times. So I almost get the sense that between you and your husband, there is a little bit of there's a divide. There is somewhat of a misunderstanding. There is somewhat of a miscommunication, translation. Things are getting lost in translation. And that is part of Saturn being in your 8th house. This is part of unity, working together to blend these two to become more intimate together, to get on the same page so that you can build something together. This is about, that really is the 8th house. It's Scorpio energy. It's about merging two souls, literally. And for you, that's difficult because you have Aquarius there. Aquarius on the 8th. Aquarius is detachment. It's difficult to get to that level of intimacy, and there is a need to I'm just getting a lot of frustration from this, that like there's just a little bit of a miscommunication. I want to see if there's anything else in this chapter for you. There is a lot of nature energy around you. Okay, this is interesting. I opened up to a page where I underlined, I suppose that the deep respect they had for each other was rooted in such things. Both were women with feet planted deep in the earth who took pride in a back strong enough to carry a load for others. Very 8th house. There is a sense of being alone. I almost get the sense that you feel very deeply alone in this for some reason, in some aspect of this. And Spirit is reminding you that you are not alone, and that you are given someone who can help you carry the load. I just keep seeing this mountain, and I feel like it's not actually as intimidating as you think it is. It's intimidating because you see what could happen. You see, okay, well, if I quit my job and I don't know, like I feel like with whatever is going on in your life, there is this feeling of things are too hard, when really you're not seeing what could happen if you just kind of took the first step. How can you get a new job if you still have a job? I feel like that's kind of what they're saying. That's like the logic that they're going by, is like, how can we give you a new job if you're still holding on to your old job? Or how can we give you these new experiences if you're holding on to old things? That's what the 8th house is about. It's about literally rocking your fucking world so that you can clear out shit that doesn't need to be there, and so that you can collect some new shit from new people and have some new experiences and new intimacy, new levels of intimacy. I feel like your job may have even been blocking this intimacy between the two of you in some way. I feel like this is actually a huge blockage in your life. I don't know, like, I feel like it's one of those situations where, like, this affects this and then this affects this. Like, it just is a chain reaction all the way fucking down to your family, all the way down to your son, where you're putting all of this energy somewhere that is, it's completely fucking unappreciated. And really, if you were to quit that and redirect your energy back to the home, back to the space, back to intimacy, back to the self, new things can come in and relationships can start to change and your mood will start to change and your everything, chain reaction. Your husband will feel more decisive because you feel more decisive. By you healing, by you doing something that you need to do for yourself, you heal everyone around you. And that's what it continues to come back to. I keep seeing you sitting in nature. And I think that that's something that you really need to do. Get out of your space, because a lot of the time when we are in our own space, whenever we are in our own apartments or houses or whatever, all day long, and we're not getting out in nature somehow, we can't receive downloads. We can't receive messages. Take your tarot cards outside. Or journal outside. You will get messages if you do that. Meditate outside. That is all I have for today. I hope that resonated. I would love to hear your feedback. I'm going to go ahead and close the portal now. And thank you so much to Celeste Guides and my guides for joining us today, for guiding us through the messages. And I hope you have a wonderful day.